Hello, Mary, Cindy, Diana, Suzanne, Christina, Camilla, Corey, Aaron Simonson, and I'm sorry, Aaron, if I'm mispronouncing your last name, Marlene, Aaron Squires, Melissa, and Julie. Here it is, the last week of class for ethical leadership. First off, I want to apologize for the confusion about when the class was ending. I'm very, very sorry about that. I'm sorry to cause you some disruption and extra stress in your lives. I really apologize for that. I made a mistake. I had a conversation with somebody that led me to believe that the course was ending, and so many of you had already participated in the discussion forum and submitted the last assignment that I still thought it was really weird that some of you had not submitted those things and thought, well, I wonder what's going on. That's strange, which was why I sent the email out. It wasn't computing for me. But I apologize for that. We do have a few more days left in the class, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy that we'll have some more interaction. As we wrap this up, I guess one of the things that I would really encourage you to think about and encourage you to try to take the perspective that when you're thinking about ethical leadership, when you're thinking how you lead ethically, how you make decisions as a leader that affect other people, that it is about the rules. It is about thinking in clear ways, in ways that follow principles, in ways that you can explain your logic, you can explain what the basis is of your decisions. So you do have to know the rules and respect the rules. You do have to know how to think ethically. I think it is valuable for you to have some understanding of utilitarian and deontological ethics, that it makes sense for you to be able to say, I'm thinking of this in terms of what's going to benefit the most people. How are we going to increase the level of benefit for as many people as possible? A utilitarian way of looking at things. That there are times when that makes a lot of sense, and then there are times where a deontological approach, an approach that says, look, we have certain rules that we just don't break. We don't lie in this company. We tell the truth. We're not going to tell lies. And if you lie, if you break that rule, that's a deal breaker. There's no justification for breaking that rule. There are some things that we just hold fast to at all times. But I would also encourage you to think imaginatively, to think creatively, because there are so many situations where the answer really isn't cut and dried, where there's more to it than we might notice at first. And so a couple of stories. A guy gets on the subway with his 3 young children, and he goes and sits down, plops himself down in a seat, and the kids are just completely out of control. They're running up and down the subway car. They're bumping into people. They knock a old man's newspaper out of his hands, and you're sitting there, and eventually, you're like, this is ridiculous. Somebody has to say something. And so go over to the guy and say, sir, your kids are completely out of control. They're running all over the place. They're knocking stuff out of people's hands. They're completely disrespectful. They're loud. Can't you do something to control your children? And the guy kind of looks up and says, oh, I'm really sorry. We just came from the hospital where their mother died. Kind of changes your perspective a little bit, doesn't it? It's when you know more of the story. Now, it's still not a good thing that the kids are running around like that, but maybe we have a little more compassion. We have a little more, we're willing to cut the guy a little more slack because we know the rest of the story. Or another train story. So, John Howard Yoder, he's deceased. He was a Mennonite, and Mennonites are pacifists. In other words, they do not believe in violence at all. And so he's on a train in Munich, late at night, subway late at night, basically empty. There's a mentally handicapped man on the train going home from work or something, and this group of young thugs gets on the train, and they start bullying this mentally handicapped man and making fun of them, and they start pushing him, and it looks like it's really going to get ugly. And Yoder's like, well, I've got to do something about this. And so, being a pacifist, he's not going to get into a fight. Probably wouldn't be a good idea anyway. So he goes up to the mentally handicapped man and throws his arms around him and says, Hans, my old friend, it's been such a long time since I've seen you. Come on, we have to go and have a drink. We have to go and get caught up. And he kind of walks him away from the people that were threatening him. A creative response. So I encourage you, when you think of these dilemmas, these ethical situations, to think, one, what is it that we might not know? What is it that might put a different spin on this situation? What might be going on behind the scenes that would explain what's happening here from a different perspective? I said earlier in the course, one of the things that I find helpful is if I'm in a situation where somebody is doing something that doesn't make sense to me, where they're doing something that I think is unethical or just wrong or not very smart, not the best choice, I try to ask myself the question, why would a rational, reasonable, intelligent person do what this person is doing? What might be the backstory to why they're acting like that? What might they believe is the case that encourages them to act like this? And that can be a helpful question. It can be a helpful question to kind of bring you closer to where the other person is and start a conversation about, and you might not agree. I mean, if I was going to have a conversation with John and his testimony before Congress, I'm guessing John and I are not going to start at the same place. We're not going to agree. But I could assume that he is trying to act ethically from his point of view, and I might disagree with that point of view. I might think that he's wrong, that he's mistaken, that he's misinformed, that he's not seeing all the facts clearly. But that's a little bit different. Actually, it's, I think, quite a bit different from saying that he is unethical, that he's an immoral person. And I agree with all of you. There are times where we will have to deal with unethical, immoral people. We'll have to deal with people who are doing the wrong thing. They know they're doing the wrong thing. They don't care that they're doing the wrong thing, and they will do anything to get away with doing the wrong thing. And as many of you have said throughout the class, those people, they need to face consequences. If they continue to act the way they are, they need to be warned, they need to be disciplined, and maybe they even need to be fired. Absolutely. But I think there are a lot of cases where it's not that people are ethically are evil. It's not that people are evil. It's not that they want to do the wrong thing, but it's more that they're ethically asleep, that they're just unaware, really unaware that what they're doing is wrong and has negative consequences. And it could be our task as ethical leaders to wake them up, to help them to see things from a different perspective, and then empower them to be able to do the right thing. Some people, we have to stop them from doing the wrong thing. They're inclined and intent on doing the wrong thing. But I think a lot of people really are just a little bit in ethical slumber. They need to be woken up a little bit, need to be informed a little bit better, and encouraged and empowered to do the right thing. And for me, that is one of the keys to ethical leadership. I look forward to the rest of our discussions this week, You know how to get in touch with me if I can be helpful to you in any way. Thanks for a great class this time around, and if I can ever be helpful to you in the future, you know how to get in touch with me, and I would be happy to do whatever I could. Thanks.